Here's the thing. Ramattra has a really interesting kit, but he's really underwhelming, guys. Like, I really enjoy his primary fire a lot. Like, that's my favorite part of the kit, probably because I play so much Orisa that it feels really similar. But he's a little underwhelming, and I think some, like, really slight tuning could help him out. Like, I think if they buff the range on his punch slightly, I think it's like 11 or 12 meters right now. If they bump that up to like 15, so you hit shots like this more consistently, like he'd feel a little bit better. I think his field is the most underwhelming part of his kit, just because Sojourn has a better field. Like like Sojourn's like ball does a better job of slowing and damaging enemies, and it lasts longer. I think if they're gonna look at anything, I think, you know, his punch slightly, maybe his block, like, have it do something. I think the engaging part of Doom's block is that it at least charges something up, and Ramattra's doesn't. I think if it charged up his field to make it bigger or last longer or stronger in general, like that could be the move. I think just because I find myself blocking a lot to get field to either back up or engage. And I don't know, he's got such an interesting kit, and his character design is amazing, and his lore is awesome. But because Hog didn't get touched at all this season, we're still gonna see Sojourn Hog this coming season, which is kind of frustrating. I don't know, his shield feels okay because he can just absorb so much damage, but it's on a limited timer. It's not like Sigma where you can just like throw it out and recall it. Yeah, I think it's so weird because they sold us on his field being able to like pull heroes in the air like Pharah, Mercy, Echo out of the air, but it's only like a little over head height. So as long as you're like remotely off the ground, you won't get pulled down by it. So I think they need to make it go up to like the skybox if they want it to be like that. If they want it to have that utility. The other thing is that you can still get out of his field with like Genji dash or like Sojourn slide. Like all of these movement abilities lets you just get out of it for free. When they sold it to us as like, I vividly remember them saying, you know, like if Winston is in there, he's not going anywhere. All of these movement abilities still let people get out of it. So I don't know if there's a bug with it where it's just not applying the level of slow that they want it to have. But I think it needs to be like, especially because it's so short, like it doesn't last very long. So they either need to like severely increase the length of, if they don't touch any other thing about it, increase the duration. But I think they could touch other things on it. I'm a little concerned about them buffing his entire kit across the board, because then we're gonna have a Doomfist scenario, right, where they buffed everything on Doomfist and now it's gonna be a Doomfist hog meta. I think if anything needs the most help, it's gonna be his field, and I don't know how I feel about, like, his ult is good. Yeah, that's what it's so interesting, because I think his field is like the highest skill shot that he has, like the highest skill component to his kit, other than like landing your primary fire, I guess, but like you can do that all the time, you know, like it's not on a cooldown. There's so much they could do with field, you know. They could make it do more damage. I think ultimately what they need to do with it is even if they don't touch the damage on it, and if they don't touch the duration on it, I think they need to like severely limit the amount you can even move in it, right? Because it's like, what, 4 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, and so it's hard to have an impact when all it does is like, you know, tug at people's ankles a little bit, but it doesn't really stop them in their tracks like we would like it to. It doesn't have to be hard CC either. It just needs to be better. like obviously there's concern about overtuning him, but like Sojourn's been overtuned since like release, and they kind of just buffed her in a lot of ways with this recent, like, you know, they said they were trying to nerf her, but like the fact that she can use like railgun more often now, and her primary fire does more damage, like she's not in a worse spot than she was last season by far, you know. I think they needed to like cut the range on her railgun a lot. The other thing that's weird about Ramattra is that like Sigma is still just a better version. Um, it's just, yeah, I don't know what they do with him. You know, he's got limited protection with himself, and he doesn't have armor, so he doesn't have the survivability unless it's when he like transforms. But even then, his damage output isn't that insane. So I don't know. I think all of those changes they could consider to make him a little more usable, but they have to hit Hog and tone down the Doom buffs that they just gave him, because Doom is going to be really frustrating and unfun to play against. Which is the other thing, is that like Doom players have said that like the most interesting part of his kit is like the tech and the skill ceiling, not the baseline level of entry that comes with him. So it feels kind of it feels out of touch a lot, and like all of the balance updates. I'm gonna make a separate video on the balance updates, because we could talk forever about those too, but I don't know. I had such high hopes for him, but seeing all the content creators, like the bigger content creators, not be excited for him when they announced him, and when we found out like a lot of them got to play it, like it kind of sealed my opinion on the fact that he just needs a little bit of love. But yeah, we can talk about the balance updates in a second. Yeah, I mean, just like looking through all of this footage is like, it's super limiting. You know, his ult is like good, but it's not very engaging, right? Like it's kind of like Rally on Brig, where you just kind of like pop it and you just go about your day, and maybe it has an impact, but you have to still be alive, right? He doesn't really have any damage mitigation outside of block, and even when he is blocking, it's like because he doesn't have armor, he can still just get poked right down pretty fast. So it'll be interesting to see if they're actually fast with their balance updates, because I think I'd want to see where he is with no Hog in the middle, you know? But yeah, we'll find out. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later.